Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about LangGraph, one of the hottest AI frameworks right now. Okay, so pretty much if you don't know what this is, it helps create automation workflows and AI agent workflows, right? If you don't know what a workflow is, just imagine this, right? Yes, I have NA right up right now, but it's just to show you guys visually what it looks like. In a simple way, something that's super common that everyone knows. So pretty much, let's say you have a process that's, something at work, maybe a process for school, maybe a process just for your daily life, right? Let's say your process for work might be you get a message from, your manager, your AI agent figures out, okay, who needs to hear this message, right? And then it figures out it goes to Bobby, it goes to Susie. That's like a basic kind of like workflow, right? And instead of someone being like the in between trying to figure out, like, let's say, yeah, this person has a request, this person figures out who this request is best suited for to answer, and it goes to either this person or that person, right? Instead of a human doing that, AI, aka an LLM model, aka an agent, will decide, which path to go later on. This is called an agent workflow or an agentic workflow. Sorry, the word kind of sounds weird, but pretty much this is an agent workflow, or the AI agent, which is this part, decides something for the process, right? And another example is like, let's say you have a workout routine, right? Like you're working out. So first you go to the gym, and now you gotta decide. And let's say now the next thing is, all right, you check the gym to see what machines available based on your workout, right? And then you go, potentially if something's full, you go to this machine or you go to that machine instead because it's full, right? Yeah, so you might go here if it's not taken, and that machine you want is taken, you might go this way. That's like another idea of like a workflow particularly, but that's just for working out. But usually workflows involve like actual work. You could be a construction worker, for example. You might have a workflow as a construction worker. You might come in, clock in, you grab the tool you need, and then you start doing stuff, right? That's another example of a workflow that's more physical, but still work related, right? Or Excel sheet stuff, email stuff, just workflows in general. Maybe your business model itself is an entire workflow, like creating a 3D, like let's say creating a video game. You have to first create the designs, the concept, then you go up to you prototype things and you build the game and you ship it out. All these things are like workflows, okay? Now, some of these workflows parts of it can be automated with AI, but it's not an agent where the AI just does a particular thing, right? The AI might create something for you, right? Or the AI might summarize something for you in that step or that process. One second. Sorry about that, right? And then, yeah, but that is what you would call more of a AI workflow, that the AI helps you in one of your steps. Instead of you doing something, the AI does it instead, right? Which is either it can create an image, or it can summarize text, or it can just do something for you. But the agent part is when the agent decides what the next step should be, being that there's multiple options, right? That's just to give you an idea, just to give you a visual, right? LangGraph also can create visuals, but it's not as pretty as NANs. So this is LangGraph. They have a lot of documentation. So if you want to learn more about it super in detail, you can go to LangGraph here. LangChain was the predecessor of LangGraph, just so you know. This is more for simple workflows, but if you want to make a more complex workflow, which most likely you do, LangGraph is where you want to go, right? So we have graph shapes. A graph actually means a relationship, right? I'll just say there's two kind of graphs. There's the visual graph you used to, like a bar graph or a line chart and stuff like that, right? This is the other graph. Graphs just shows a relationship between two or more things, right? And in this situation, right, you might have a graph like this where it's like, okay, and in this graph, each of these are called nodes, right? Which is like a step. So a node, step, and task are all the same thing, okay? So let's say this first step is you send an email. This next step is you fill out an Excel sheet. And this next step is you make a PowerPoint based off whatever's going on, right? This might be a workflow, right? But let's say you might have a different kind of flow where it's like you send the emails, multiple emails, reach out to clients, you document an Excel sheet, who responded, who didn't respond, who's a possible prospect, and then, but you might make a PowerPoint, but then you might go back and forth between the Excel sheet and the PowerPoint to keep figuring out how to build the PowerPoint, right? Let's say the PowerPoint isn't making sense or it's too many slides. Now you got to go back and figure out, oh, which information is most important to show on this PowerPoint. Otherwise, I have a 60 slide PowerPoint, which is not effective for demonstrating what's going on. I need 5 slides. So now you got to go back and figure out which one's more important. So this back and forth process shows a back and forth in the graph system, right? The relationship, right? You might have, you might have something that starts and you have to decide, do I use A or do I use B, right? Let's say you have a problem, right? And your problem is, oh, do I use code or do I use a no-code tool, right? And then from there, you produce the product, which is the solution, right? That's an example of a flow. And let's say you have multiple different data sources. Maybe you have data in a database. Maybe you have data in the cloud. Maybe you have data from, a different cloud or a different database system or just an Excel sheet. And you grab all that data, you send it to an AI model. AI model is like, what should I do with this? Should I store it in a MongoDB database, which is unrelationable, or should I store it in a SQL database, which is relationable, right? Or just another basic workflow that's like, let's say, a construction worker, right? Or let's say, let's do a restaurant, right? Let's say you get an order from a customer, okay? Now, you have the option of telling the customer, no, I don't have this item on the menu anymore, it's out. Or you tell the customer, yes, I have this item on the menu, it's out. Actually, no, let's do it the other way around. Let's say the customer orders food, right? And then the next step is that the customer, that the food is available, cool, and you send the order to the kitchen, that's it. But now let's say the customer asks for food, they don't have this food, now you kind of go back and forth with the customer in the kitchen and yourself, figuring out what food's actually available that the customer wants to replace the thing that they asked for that isn't there, right? So that, when you order something, it's like, oh, we're out of this. Damn, okay, well, how about this? Oh, we're also out. But let me check, I can check the kitchen really quick. Like, that kind of dynamic is what this relationship shows, okay? So these are all the kind of graph shapes that we have, but there's multiple different kinds, okay? This is just graphs showing you the node system, task system, here's the relationship system as well, okay? Now, this is a basic relationship that's very common for, like, let's say a chatbot, or let's say when you call for something and then you go back and forth with the robot, and then they might send you to a human to answer your questions, or the robot answers your questions for you. This is what that is essentially, right? It's like a phone call AI bot or a chat bot on the phone. And this is just right here. This is just a really basic, what humans, like most of us just assume, oh, I'm the user of the app and this is the app. We just talk back and forth with the app, right? This is what you're probably used to thinking, but really in the background, it's all this stuff going on, right? That's like a graph, that's a workflow, right? So this can represent how an app works. This can represent just a basic workflow. This can represent just a lot of different things, an order process, a shipping process. Oh, I get the order, I package it, I ship it. This can represent a lot of different things, just so you understand. And I'm talking about these kind of guys, right? They can represent a lot of different things. But right now we're focused just on like an app. It's like the green, and then the red's the customer. Blue is like a database or pretty much a pile of information that the AI might need to answer questions for the user, like maybe the user's account information, the user's login, the user's last purchase, something like that. And this purple thing right here is an AI model, right? Probably ChatGPT, Claude, Mistral. It's just an LLM, big famous AI model right here is in the middle of it figuring out what's going on. So let's say the flow is pretty much, first it's triggered. So the user will open the app, right? Which will trigger this whole process to start in the app. Right? Then the app automatically greets the user. Hello, how are you doing today? Right? Then the user now asks questions back and forth to the chatbot or the LLM or the AI essentially, right? The AI and the customer are talking back and forth with each other, trying to answer questions, right? Maybe the AI is smart enough to answer the question without going to the database, or maybe the question requires the database. Maybe the question is, oh, what was my last purchase in my bank account? Then it will have to go check your bank account and come back and answer your question in a nice, eloquent, easy to understand way, right? So some questions might require it to go into your account and look it up itself, or it can answer the question directly, right? Like, oh, what's your name? Bobby. It already knows that for some reason, right? And then from there, let's say the situation gets a little too complicated for the LLM to figure out, or the information is not in the database that they have, right? Maybe it'll send you to it'll decide itself that it can either keep talking to you or send you to a human to answer your questions because it's not qualified. Or let's say you're done talking, now the model understands, oh, it's done talking, and it will decide to go to this path and say goodbye to the user. So it can decide to keep talking to you. It can decide to grab information from the database to answer your question. It can decide to send you to a human, or it can decide to say goodbye to you. It thinks that you're done talking. So the AI itself has 4 different paths. This is an agent workflow, right? If it was more of a basic workflow, it'd be more like in one line, like it'd be more like this essentially, or potentially like this. But this is what LangGraph is really powerful at doing, right? And this is just a basic workflow. So I have some code here. So if you don't know how to use PyCharm, I have a video below telling you how to download PyCharm. I also have a video below telling you how to, just a basic overview of what PyCharm is. So you will go here, new project, you name it, whatever you want, PPP, and then create, right? And then now you're, within your project. So if you don't know how to install PyCharm, please go to PyCharm now and check that out. Check the video below to learn how to download PyCharm. But I'm gonna open it again and just open up my code for you to teach you what's going on. So I'm gonna give a very brief example. So just to show you how this works. So this code that doesn't actually work. This is just to show you like a basic idea, right? So let's say we create a node, right? Remember the node was those circles that represent a task or a step or an action or whatever, an item or a person. So let's say we create a node for just the greeting node. Hey, how can I help you today, right? And then the next node is answering questions. And escalation means like, should it go to a human next, right? So, and then this is user input. User input is the questions or answers that the user of the app or the customer is saying, right? And then you have the escalation node that decides, okay, which human to go to potentially. Then you have the exit node where it's like, okay, the conversation's over. I will exit out this conversation and the app will do its thing and dip, right? And you have this ask ChatGPT where obviously in that answer node, it's talking to an AI model. ChatGPT is one of them that it could possibly talk to. And yeah, and you create these nodes manually, and then from there you would put these nodes in a particular order, right? So if you see like this represents this right here. This represents this right here because it has ChatGPT. That's the AI model because it's purple. Then we have, in order check, escalation. That'll be this one right here. And then we have check exit, that'll be this one right here. So and then end is just like the app's over, right? And this just shows you like the chain of action. And then the entry point's greeting, right? We know the first thing that kind of happens is the greeting the user, but technically opening the app triggers it and stuff like that. And this is pretty much the basic overview of how it would look like. Now this code doesn't work. Now this code I'm about to show you is linked below. I have a Google Drive link to download this code. So copy and paste it into your PyCharm and it should work just fine. But first thing you need to do is you need to pip install LangChain and OpenAI. So it'll be pip install LangGraph, and then OpenAI, right? Yeah, that's all I need. And you'll hit enter and it should start loading them for you, but I already have them loaded, so it's pretty much ready to go on my end. Right, cool. So I'm gonna go over this code really quick. I'm not putting my API key, but you need to get your own API key. I'll link a video below on how to get your own API key for OpenAI so you can use this. Cool, but pretty much the code is very basic. So we just attach, this is a database path. If you have an SQLite database, you can use this. If not, it's okay. But pretty much it creates a basic path to the database. This initiates the database. This part of the code initiates that database, right? And the database we're talking about is this. In the situation, that database that contains like information on the user and things like that. This function right here that we're creating, right? This function right here we're creating. This function is for searching, right? This is like the logic for how to search through the database essentially, right? So it'll ask questions using a particular format, things like that. So this just sets up how it searches, right? That's what that does. This is if the question requires information from the database, right? This relationship that we have going on just comes in, acts, gets information, and goes back up. This kind of creates that relationship. Actually, I lied. This code, this def search knowledge code, that creates this relationship. This itself, this code right here, this chunk of code, this function right here, right? This function is when the AI is using the information it got from the database to answer the question, right? Then we have dev trigger node. We already know that's this guy right here. We create that trigger node. Then we have the greet user node. We know that's this one right here, the second step in the app process. Answer question node. We already know this function is that node we're creating for this, right? Speak to human node. We already know that's this one right here. So the AI will decide if it should stay here, go to the database, speak to human, or say goodbye to user. And this is the speak to human node. Now this piece is the goodbye node right here. And this is the end node, which just means like pretty much everything's over, right? So after it says goodbye to user, there'll be like another node here that'll say like, oh, everything's done, right? And this kind of just puts all of it together, right? So this function right here creates the graph, right? And it just puts everything all together. So it creates this, it sets these pieces up. So you create these pieces one by one, you create the relationships between them, and now it just sets it up like this, right? This is just putting it all together. It's gluing the pieces together. Kind of like when you're building a car, you put all the car pieces back together, right? So now run chatbot. This function is pretty much running the code itself. We yes, we have this process made up now. Now we need all of this stuff. Hold on, everything like one second. Ooh. Everything here except the user. Everything here except the user is code. So we need to run that code now, right? In the background, that's pretty much what this does. And then this right here is the start button in the code. So when you run this code, the code looks for this to pretty much press start to activate the whole code sequence now, okay? And that's how this code works in a very quick overview. I will create another video later on that goes into this more in a deeper level if you care about learning this on a super deep level. But the code's available. You can use ChatGPT to help you understand it quicker on your own and just start messing with it. Use it. You can modify this to create your own process or your own AI agent workflow. Or you can also come to the documentation of LangGraph, click here, and you can start learning on your own as well, just how it works and doing all, using its tools itself, because this is directly from LangGraph itself. But that's pretty much it for this video, you guys. If you would like to learn from me one-on-one about AI, anything involving AI agents, AI workflows, creating AI apps, creating AI itself, fine-tuning, reach out to me. If you want help on integrating AI into your business, please reach out to me as well. If you need anything AI related, AI questions you have, businesses, ideas you might have involving AI, reach out to me as well, please. But I really appreciate you guys for tuning in on this video. And yeah, just make sure you check out all the links below and reach out to me if you have any questions. Appreciate it. Peace.